Well, my guest today is a talented actor who brings the legendary character of Uhura to life on Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Time to bring in Celia Rose Gooding. Celia, welcome to Comic Book Central.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. We're doing this virtually, but I'm looking forward to meeting you in person coming up here very soon at
Very soon.
Terrificon. Have you ever you've been to Connecticut?
I live in New York, so I've been to Connecticut, but I've never been to
Okay.
Con. It'll be my first one.
Okay, it's terrificon.com. I want to get this out of the way first. That's where you go to get your tickets and photo ops. So you get to meet the fans. You get your Star Trek stuff signed. You get photos with Celia, all the good things. Speaking of conventions, as we're recording this, you just got back from Vegas, right?
Last night, yes, I did.
Was it just last night? Oh man,
Yeah, yeah,
thank you for doing this. I'm sure you're exhausted at
I
this
am.
point.
But I'm happy to do this. This is the fun stuff. It's the getting on a plane and sitting on the tarmac for 30 minutes extra that drives
Yeah.
me crazy.
Oh, travel's always fun. But
Mhm.
here's the thing. I mean, I saw this is what Star Trek Vegas, Star Trek Las Vegas. I saw the guest list for this thing. My mind was blown. I don't know how when you saw like everybody, like it's everybody from every version of Trek, OG, Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, all your current stuff that's out there.
Mhm.
Was that just how trippy was that to just be immersed in that? And I know you're just coming in, you're probably just a couple of years, getting your feet wet in the Trek universe. But what
Yeah.
was that like for you coming in? And did you get any advice on like how to handle the magnitude of these Trek conventions?
I am still fairly new to this. I still consider myself getting my, some people say sea legs, I say space legs. I'm still
There you
getting my space legs. And I've been to Vegas. I think this most recent time would have made it my third or fourth time in Vegas. And it is I feel like it gets bigger and bigger every year.
Yeah.
And I now have a good like decompression routine after a long day because the days can be quite long. They start at 9 and end at 6, and you're there and you're meeting all these wonderful people, but then you go back to your hotel room and you're by yourself and your adrenaline is still high. And so I I'm sure somebody has given me advice because I ask for a lot when it comes to these sort of things. But
Okay.
I you just go in with an open heart, and it's like decompressing after a long day at work. Like I'll play
Yeah.
some sound bath stuff, or I will call my mom, or I have a bunch of, like, as you can see, I'm holding one right now. I have a bunch of little stress and fidget toys
Stress
that
relievers. Yeah, we all have those everywhere. Yeah, a
yeah.
little tucked in a little bit. But that's got to be overwhelming too, because the fandom. I mean, you've got over 50 years of fandom just coming at you from all parts. So there's like I said, there's OG stuff, but then there's probably like little kids now that are just or people that watch things that relate to your character maybe, or that things that you say or do resonate. Um, what's been like the sort of the trippiest thing? What's sort of been the most emotional fan experience that you've had so far?
Oh gosh, I'm so happy you asked this question because I now get to talk about one of, I think, my favorite things that I've ever seen as a sign of, it sounds, I like to consider myself to be a very humble person. And so when I'm faced with the impact that I have, it's very moving. There's this father-daughter cosplay duo. And this young black girl, she had her head shaved. And I am the only a bald-headed Uhura. And just to see a young black girl who is to see any Uhura is such a wonderful thing, but to see mine specifically with this young father-daughter cosplay duo, it just really moved me and like brought me to tears.
Wow.
I think there's something so powerful about representation, and I think that I know that it is such a huge part as to why I continue to exist in this industry is so that I can be a part of the representation that I want to see in the world. And to see again, to see my impact so clearly, it was just it moved me in a way that was really unexpected. And that I think was one of my most emotional moments, just because fathers and daughter duos always make me so emotional. It's just such a beautiful thing. And to see that that's their bonding point and that I had a part of any of that, it was really
Yeah.
just really special to me.
That's the thing. The characters out there, the franchises out there, but that's your version. That's
Hmm.
somebody saying, no, 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 I want to be that And that's well, we'll talk a little bit about that, but that to me might be the overwhelming part. I would think
Yeah,
just sort
no,
of getting hit with that because as an actress, like you're on stage, I think you start on stage and you're doing different things, but now somebody's right there saying,
yeah,
"You're okay. You're my representation. This is what."
exactly. I
It's a
think that
lot.
a major difference between TV and film and stage performance is that TV and film sort of lives forever.
Hmm.
Once it's on the internet, it's on the internet forever. And stage stuff has live streams put up and whatnot. But I think there is a live theater and live audiences that you share that moment together, and then once the curtain comes down, the moment is gone. Once that's very specific to stage, but with TV and film, again, internet is forever, and so that is I think a lot more overwhelming. The
Yeah,
depths of it all, the lasting impact of it all.
I've
That
heard that from a lot of stage actors that moment, that's it.
yeah.
You can't recreate it. But then, like you
Yep.
said, we're still talking about Nichelle Nichols. We're always going to talk about Nichelle Nichols. We're gonna,
Mhm.
so at some point we're going to be talking about you forever. It's just
Oh,
like,
goodness.
yeah, that's a great point. Growing up in New York, were you a Trek fan?
Oh,
I think you were like 9 when the movie came out, right? With
yeah.
Zoe
Yes.
Saldana.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was my first introduction to Trek. I come from a huge Trek family. My mom is the biggest Trekkie I know. And
Okay.
I remember her taking me and my sister to the movie theaters to go see the Kelvin Universe movies on school nights, mind you.
Yeah.
But
It's
I
good parenting right there.
yeah, no, she had her priorities straight.
Yes.
I remember uh sitting very I used to be really obsessed with sitting as close to the to the movie screen as possible, so my neck, my small 9-year-old
Oh,
neck was lit
wow.
up at all the action and the colors. And I just remember seeing there was one shot with Zoe Saldana, and her ponytail was sort of like she had a phaser out, and she was something beautiful was going on with her hair. That's what I remember first things first. But then
Yeah.
I remember just being so moved and not really understanding why. I feel like as my brain was still developing, I think if I could go back and say to that younger version of myself and say, "Hey, you and Zoe Saldana are going to have something in common in about 10 years." It
Yeah.
I don't know what I would have done. But yeah, my mom, biggest Trekkie in the world, was so happy to hear that I was auditioning for Strange New Worlds, let alone playing Uhura. And yeah, I wasn't, but I feel like uh I have the Trekkie gene.
Yeah.
I'm genetically a Trekkie.
You knew the characters. I mean, you knew the characters
Of
going in.
course.
So all this, you mentioned your mom, LaShawn,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and okay, the Tony Emmy Award winner,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So was that sort of like a given? Was that the inspiration to go into acting, just sort of following literally, I guess, in her footsteps, treading the boards?
Yeah, yeah. For the longest time, my mom did not want me to become an artist or to become an actor. She understood the industry and how difficult it is to be in this industry, let alone as a Black woman. And I remember watching her and the joy that being on stage brought her, and as a young child just trying to pursue joy, watching my mother. It's natural for any kid to follow in their parents' footsteps. Those are your leaders, your teachers, those are the people you sort of model your life after. And I'm lucky enough to have a fantastic relationship with my mother, and so it felt very natural for me to follow in her footsteps. I grew up in green rooms, and I remember doing homework in her dressing rooms while she's going to play Donna Summer. I'm writing my high school paper on her laptop in her dressing room.
Wow.
And so I have always been in those sort of spaces before I even knew that I wanted to have a more a much more, what's the word? English is failing me. This is why I read other people's words for a living. But
You need the writers room behind you. That's what I need.
yes,
I
no,
need
that's what
writers
I
behind
need.
me. I
I need
know.
my writers. I miss them.
I need a script. I got my script right in front of me here. So
Perfect. See, you have the one that I need. Yeah, I grew up in those spaces for a while, and so I think it only made sense for me to just continue to want to be in those spaces. I have a lot of family in the theater. I have a lot of found family in the theater. Theater is such a safe space for me. It was really the first space that I felt comfortable being silly and quirky and fun and trying new things and not really being afraid to make mistakes. And so I was a creature of comfort. I still am a creature of comfort, and theater and storytelling as a whole are big comforts of mine.
Wow. So, okay, I want to get to season 3 and ask all the questions that you can't answer.
Great,
So we're
great.
going
I'm
to
gonna
know that off
smile
the
and
bat
nod.
already. So yeah, I'll ask them, you ignore them, and we'll get there. But I want to go back a little bit to the audition process for
Mhm,
Star Trek. You alluded to this. You
mhm.
didn't know going in, you knew it was Star Trek, but you didn't know
Yeah.
it was a horror, right?
No, they gave me an
Okay.
alias. Her name was
Right. So you thought,
Yaboa.
what was the name?
Yaboa.
Yaboa.
Yeah,
Okay. You thought it
just
was just some
somebody.
rando
And
Starfleet.
exactly.
Okay.
I think if I had more education and understanding of Star Trek, I would have been able to put two and two together.
Was there
I'm
word communications in it? Was
yeah,
like the
like young communications officer with who can sing. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can do that. I didn't
yeah,
put two
that'll
and
do
two
it.
and say, huh, who is the singing communications officer of the Enterprise?
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna put any
Well,
more
Zoe
thought
didn't
into
sing.
that.
Zoe didn't sing, so
Exactly,
you didn't have
exactly.
that. There you go.
Right, right. You know what? That's actually good for me to remember because now that I
Yeah,
think back, I'm like, duh, of course it was Uhura. But
yeah.
funnily enough, when I told my mom I was auditioning, um, and I told her I was auditioning for somebody named Yaboa, she was like, who's Yaboa? Well, like this is a prequel. It's all the stuff before. There's Uhura. Are you sure it's Uhura? I was like, no, 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 no,
Oh, she knew.
not Uhura. It's Yaboa. Like I read
Uh-huh.
my things, but no,
Mm-mm.
as she's always right, she was right yet again.
Mom knew. That was amazing.
Right.
Okay, the day you learned that it was Uhura,
Yeah.
the day you got the role,
Hmm.
that if I've heard correctly, that wasn't necessarily the best day of your life to start off
No,
with, was
no,
it?
it wasn't. I got in a car accident that day. I it was a minor wreck, but a minor wreck is
Yeah.
oxymoronic. It was a minor car accident. I it wasn't my fault too, but
No.
the person whose fault it was, of course, didn't want to take blame, and we handled it our way. And
Yeah.
I just was
But
so
you're having a
frustrated.
day. You're having a
Yeah,
day,
I was
safe
having
to
a
say.
hard day.
Yeah.
And I'm someone who loves starting a day over. I love if I'm having a hard day and it's 8 p.m., the day is done. I'm going to bed. I'll see y'all tomorrow. But yeah, I was having a hard day. I remember I was sitting in my room. I'm very much a Pisces, so I was listening to my melancholy music, just lying in bed, being like, ugh, I got in this car accident in this audition that I thought I did really good at. I haven't heard anything about. Just rah, 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 rah. Really, really, really feeling awful. Um,
Probably the actor's anxiety coming into and just like,
yeah,
okay, yeah.
yeah, of course. And it was like it was December-ish of 2020. It was cold outside. I
Yeah.
wasn't the pandemic had hit. I hadn't had a job in what felt like forever. I was in the middle of like a really important point in my career. I felt very stuck and still. And my mom, who I love very dearly, I remember being in my room and hearing her calling me and calling me and calling me and being like, "You have a package." I'm like, it's 9 p.m. I don't have a package. What are you talking about? And so I'm so mad at myself because this video lives forever and I'm wearing the most god awful sweatpants. Like my outfit was not cute when I found out. I'm wearing like mismatched pajamas. I got like acne cream on. I'm mad. I was
Wow.
just not in a
Wow.
great place. And I walk out of my room and I see my agent and his husband, and my agent just slowly raises a bottle of champagne. And
Wow.
my brain, I'm like, hello, you're in my house. Hi, how are you? Welcome.
Still
Um,
not putting the pieces together. Yeah. All
no,
right.
no, no, no,
Fair.
no, no, no. I have
Yeah.
to be spoon fed the point if I'm to catch it.
Well,
Um,
in all fairness, you're having a day too. So
I was
there's that.
having a
Yeah.
day. I felt
Yeah.
like kind of concussed. I was like, something's happening. And
Right. Right.
I was like, the process of shedding the day before me and like entering into this new moment, it happened in like what felt like an instant, but I look back at this video often and I just see myself download what this means. And then I just start going, no, 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 no. I'm running around my house. Um, and yeah, my agent broke to me the news that I booked it.
Wow.
And it was such a quick process. I think I found out that I booked the role and learned that I had to move in like 11 days.
Wow.
It was a really, really short turnaround. I remember and Canada was so closed, like so beyond lockdown. I
Hmm.
would have to move by myself. My mom couldn't even come to the airport with me. I she dropped me off at the airport. I gave her a hug and I said I'll see you in 6 months. And
Wow.
yeah, I didn't
Different
see
time.
her. Yeah, it was wild. It was really, really, really wild. But it really happened so fast and it feels like forever ago, but also yesterday.
Yeah.
I I it
No, you're
makes
in a whirlwind right now. That's
yeah,
to be sure. I
yeah.
had the honor of welcoming Whoopi Goldberg to the show a few weeks ago,
Oh
and she
wow.
mentioned how she was inspired by Nichelle Nichols
Mhm.
from the show. And then when we talked about that, and I know you didn't have a chance to meet Nichelle
No,
because I think she passed away like right almost it was almost like the time frame when you got the gig and you
yeah,
guys were filming, starting to film. Like you said, everything was locked down. So I don't think there was any time. I think it was a couple months later she
not
passed away.
really. It was
Were you have you been able to I think you've touched base with some of her family members or something.
yeah,
Can you
yeah,
talk a
I met
little
her.
bit about that and just what she means to you and what, if anything, you try to bring from that to the role?
Yes, of course. I met her lovely sister. I met everybody at the Nichelle Nichols Foundation. I met them in Vegas, actually. I met them in Vegas.
Nice.
I think my second year, no, I think my first year there was when I met them, and they were so, so sweet and like really, really welcoming. And I remember being so nervous. I was so, so nervous because I hadn't met Nichelle, and I I felt like I was almost imposing on something that
Hmm.
wasn't meant for me just because her family owes me nothing. Like I was fully prepared to just sort of go on this character journey with myself and my team and my acting coach and not really touch anything of her legacy just because that is something so much bigger than me and I know my place.
Hmm.
And I remember getting an email from her sister, Marion, and um, her just being so nice and so open and so like really like warmly insistent on meeting me. And I
Wow.
remember walking down to the lobby of my hotel with my bag and my outfit that I like changed 4 different times because I wanted to look cool but casual, but not too dressy, but also not that I wasn't caring. And we talked for like I think almost 2 hours just talking about her foundation and talking about my place and me asking her questions and me just being a little not praise hungry, but just like I remember sitting down and being like, is it good? Like, am I doing what I should be doing? And she was so, so warm and so, so kind. And I remember just like casually complimenting her earrings because she had these beautiful, like, gem encrusted hoops. I was like, they're very, very grown Uhura earrings. And she
Mhm.
took them off her ears and handed them to me.
Wow.
And I was like, no, 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 please. Like, I don't, these are yours. You do not have to give them to me. She was like, no, this is what we do. Like, this is what Nichelle would do. And
Wow.
I still have them. I have them in a nice box. I keep them very protected because they mean the moon to me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
What a keepsake.
what a keepsake and what
And just a reminder of the legacy too.
a reminder of the legacy, but also such a symbol of the warmth that came with this inheritance. I
Mhm.
feel like I know that I put a lot of pressure on myself to just do right by this character because there is so much. There she means so much to so many people and it is not lost on me. And to know that, but to meet her family and for her to be so just nice to me. Like kindness is really really special to me. It's I've been that way since I was a kid. Like acts of kindness for the sake of kindness, they really like it meant a lot to me for her to see me and want to go above and beyond to make me feel comfortable and to make me feel a part of the family. And my, it to this day, I go back to that moment of sitting in that chair and just like down and looking at all these people and downloading that they are here because they not only do they care about the character and they care about Nichelle's legacy, they also care about me. And I
Right.
wasn't expecting that. They didn't have to, but they did. And yeah, to this day, I just every once in a while it like hits me like a tidal wave of like of emotion.
Wow.
Just
You keep that with you.
it
Yeah.
could never leave me. It could never.
What a classy move. And here's the thing, like you're not playing Nichelle's character. So you don't really
No.
have that point of reference because she's kind of fully formed and given it as good as she gets, to
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
other officers. Zoe's kind of the same thing. I mean, she's,
Mm.
firing on all phasers and everything. So you're not playing that character. How did you approach the role? Like what did you bring to it and what questions did you have early on? Because you're playing just the formative years, how she gets to that stage.
Exactly, exactly. Very well put. I a lot of conversations with our showrunners, Akiva and Henry. Um, I remember just asking them so many questions about how we're going to go about approaching this character, how we're going to go about approaching her backstory. And it was really important to me to play this beloved character as somebody very human. And you don't come out of the womb with all the answers like Nichelle Nichols Uhura does. You don't come out of the womb with confidence and drive and ferocity like Zoe Saldana's Uhura. And so when they shared with me that we're playing Uhura as a very almost shy sort of girl at her genesis. We played her very insecure and still trying to figure out if her future is actually hers. We sort of see her deny destiny for a while. And so I remember thinking about it this way that Uhura as a character to me is a puzzle. We know what the picture is going to be at the end, but right now we just have a pile of wooden chips. And it's
Mhm.
my job to sort of put the sections together in not immediately all at once, but like to really take my time and get the outer, find the corner pieces first, and then build the frame, and then like build little sections, and then put the puzzle together at the end. And we're not even close. Well, knock on wood, we're not even close to the end
Hmm.
of
Yeah,
her
keep
journey.
getting more seasons. That's what we want.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well,
Yeah,
you and
yeah,
me both.
yeah.
But
We'll keep watching.
thank you, thank you.
Well, and some of those pieces are broken too,
Yeah.
because Ohora in this iteration, we find out the backstory is there's a lot of grief there. There's
Mhm.
she's lost her parents, she's lost her brother in an accident, she's lost sort of her mentor on the Enterprise. Have you been able to find sort of a kindred spirit? I know you and your family have dealt with a lot of adversity over the years. Have you been able to find sort of a kindred spirit in this character on the page as you're bringing her to life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I lost my father when I was very young in when the towers fell. He worked in the towers and I
And your
remember
mom was pregnant at the time too, right?
yeah,
With
yeah,
you,
she gave birth to
yeah,
my sister a month later.
right.
Uh,
Oh,
and yeah,
I
no,
mean,
she's
she is a superhero.
the
Your mom
strongest
is a
one,
superhero. Yeah.
truthfully. I don't know how she did it. I remember a lot of her journey, especially in the second season, especially in episode 206, where she's
Hmm.
haunted by a lot of loss and just sort of what happens when you don't address the grief within you. I remember reading that script and only for a second. I only entertained the idea for a second, but I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. This is way too close to home. I remember pulling the writers aside and being like, who is talking to my therapist who is in my journal who has done this who has
Wow, that
done
one
this
hit. That one hit
yeah
close.
and it required a level of vulnerability that I didn't realize until I read the script that I hadn't even allowed myself and I had to do a lot of internal work in a really short amount of time in order to show up for Uhura the way I did. And I so much of we teach each other a lot. We meaning myself and the character I play. I learn a lot from her. I think she learns a lot from me. A lot of my lived experience I sort of braid into her story. And I I so much of we have a lot of stuff in common. We're both very young for our respective industries. We're both dealing with a lot of grief, dealing with just how to accept destiny, how to sort of be at peace with the fact that yes, you may feel way in over your head, but you're not. You are exactly where you should be. And the best thing you can do is just accept that so you can show up for yourself and for your peers as best as you possibly can. And that, yeah, I definitely feel a kindred spirit with her. It's actors are kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie. We're a little nutty. And so when I
We all
say,
are in our own ways, but
yeah, of course, but when I say I find Celia and Uhura talking to each other, it's just me talking to myself in my head. But no, so
no, but
much.
you're able to channel that. That's interesting too. And another lesson I think from that episode too is that you're not alone. You're not going through this alone.
Yeah. She
Uh,
has taught me to be okay asking for help. Well, a
mm,
lot of folks in my personal life and a lot of people who know that I am very much a do-it-yourself sort of person. I'm very much a I got it sort of person because I'm very capable. But it I Uhura is continuing to teach me how important it is to admit when you need help and to ask for it not as a to be able to ask for it and not see that as a sign of weakness, but a sign of incredible strength. And that's she's still teaching me that lesson, and I'm still taking my sweet time to learn it. But yeah, I'm really grateful for this chapter. That's really what I walk away when I when I take the hat off, and when I take the wig off and take off the delta. I just am washed with gratitude, not only for this opportunity, but for the life lessons that I'm learning as a young adult in the world, period.
wow.
I'm 24. I was born yesterday. I I I have a lot to learn, and the fact that I get to do it in such a beloved universe by playing such a beloved character, it's like I've hit the lottery. I've hit the lottery. I feel
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, it's iconic. You need an action figure. Hey, Star Trek therapy. Who knew, right? I mean,
It
go
is.
figure. That episode you refer to, Lost in Translation, great episode. At the
Yeah.
end of that, too, that iconic scene when you know which one I'm talking about is
Um,
there's Uhura and Spock and Kirk, and you're kind of you introduce them. It's that first time when you're filming that. Do you all get a sense of the how big that moment is? Just because I know you got to hit your mark, say your lines, and get
yeah.
the job done.
Yeah.
But is there any discussion of like, oh, whoa, this one's a little different?
Yes, yes. They
Okay.
before we shot the episode that we were gonna have like a major canon event at the end of the episode, and it was it is now canon that Uhura is the one who introduces Spock to Kirk.
Yep.
And that is wild, especially given the circumstances of what she has had to deal with. She it was I remember being so sweaty, like not to be not to be like crass about it, but I was like I was sweating because
Yeah.
it was a really brief moment. It was very like almost it was really casual how he went about it, but the fan in me, the historian in me, the person in me who wants to do this franchise justice. It's a big old deal. It was a huge deal. And
That's what
yeah,
we want to hear. No,
yeah,
we
no,
want to hear that.
it was a massive freaking deal. I remember looking at Ethan and being like, I do this all the time though. I pull Ethan aside on set often and I'm like, hey, by the way, you're Spock and I'm Uhura. Just so we can just think about that. Like I'm there,
Good.
I'm 3 seasons in, and every once in a while I'll step out of my body and be like, hey. what's going on here? This is a crazy opportunity we've been given. And so, yeah, those moments are, yes, they're very practiced and rehearsed, but you can see it on my face when they
Yeah.
in the handshake. They rack focus to my face. I'm just beaming. I'm just the happiest
Yeah.
plant in the world. And yes, that is Uhura getting her two of her friends to meet, but it's also, it was a little, I think there was a little bit more Celia in that moment than I intended. But you can't help but smile when you realize that you are establishing really, really like golden nuggets of canon.
Yeah. I mean, we got a sense of that. I got a sense of that seeing that. It's a little bit more Celia than I think than Yoda in there. So
Yeah,
that's no, we like that. We like when you guys are train wrecks because of that, because that shows you care. That
yeah.
shows the level that you care about these characters, and we love that. Subspace Rhapsody. I'm going to wrap up with a couple of things here. Subspace Rhapsody. Did your time during Jagged Little Pill, did that give you an edge? Do you think over
Oh
your
my God.
castmate?
Yes. Oh my God. Are
Singing
you
and
kidding?
dancing. All right.
Yeah. I had never been more grateful for my theater training when I found out we were doing a musical episode. I
Nice.
could finally bring something that felt like home to me into my new home. And really, I think we had such a wonderful team musically that were helping us sort of get this dream on film or on digital, because we don't do film, do we?
I
I
always say film. Yep. I
Yeah,
still say
that's what it is. That's what it is. I remember hearing about it, excuse me, and being really excited and then immediately nervous because I have a lot of musical theater training when it comes to my cast family. And so I think there was that energy of, oh, you got it. This is going to be great. And I'm like, do I got it? Is it going to be great? Like that was my energy. But then I put that fear aside and realized that no matter how I feel about it, it's going to get done. So I might as well feel good. And so it the way the cast showed up to this experience really got me out of my own way. I Everyone was so down, everyone was so into it. We were showing up on our weekends. The only time we have off, we're going to the stages and rehearsing our choreography, and everyone just really put there were no egos involved, but like everyone put their internal feeling about it to the side and showed up in a way that really inspired me to put my fears aside and show up. And it was wonderful. Thank God for theater training, though. I would not have been able to get through it without it.
it was epic. It was epic to
Thank
say the
you.
least. You taking it to Broadway? There's a rumor you guys are taking it to Broadway.
I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised. Akiva likes
Okay.
to surprise us. So
All right.
I have no idea, but I'd be happy to do it.
Season 3 questions. What can you answer? You're a Vulcan. We know we saw the teaser.
Yes,
You get to be
yes.
a Vulcan.
I
Okay.
am a Vulcan at some point. I live, which is wonderful.
Yay.
Does not die in season three. Um,
Good.
I will say, who else lives? Spock lives.
You
Uh,
guys all better live because there's action figures and comic books to live up to.
exactly, exactly.
We
No,
know you all. Can you
I
what
would
what
say
do we
all the
need to look
legacy here. Go ahead.
what do we need to look for in season 3? What can you give us a hint that's coming up, like an Easter egg, or what should we be on the watch out for that we might miss that we'd have to see a couple times? What can you tease about that? Something's in there. Something just popped in your brain that there's something in a shot in the background or something. I tapped
Broken
into something there.
lighters. That's what I'll say. I'll say broken lighters.
Broken lighters.
Mhm.
Okay. Early in the season, mid season, late season.
One of the 10 episodes, I will say, involves a
You're
broken lighter.
you're getting very good at this. You're getting so
Thank you.
much better at
Thank
this.
you so much.
What have you lifted from the set, real quick? Confession
Nothing. I
time.
would never steal anything from the set. I
I
have
didn't
no
say still.
idea.
I just said lifted. That's all.
Uh, Hold on. Where is it?
Yeah, I knew there was something.
I gave it to my mom, and she may have done the very smart thing, and that is hide it. But where are you? She has like a collection of pins. There's a Delta in here somewhere.
Oh,
Um,
nice. Okay.
but yeah, my mom's a huge Trekkie. They have 50 of those Deltas backstage. So I got a Delta and I gave it to my mom.
I knew you'd taken something, but it was for a good cause. It was
Yes, it
for the
was for
superhero in your life.
Exactly, exactly. I would not have had access to adults if it weren't for her giving birth to me. So I think it only felt right to get one back to her.
We got Terrificon coming up. That's going to be amazing. Terrificon.com. So go there. I am so looking forward to seeing you in person coming up. We'll touch base there. My goodness, Elliot, continued success, safe travels as you
Thank
go
you.
there.
Thank
And
you.
thank you so much for joining me today on Comic Book Central.
Of course, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for your time and your wonderful questions and just taking the time to talk to me. It means a lot.